So, a mischievous kid like me who wants to pirate games actually did something mischievous in school. Oh my god. But to be honest though, it wasn't really that mischievous apart from managing to get inside the BIOS and fucking everything up. I was an annoying little chap, and guess what? Nobody liked me at all. Probably because I acted quite differently than anyone else, and people think I was autistic as hell. But to be honest though, it was a calm day, you know. Until I decided to go to the back of the class. Well, I'd always sit in front of the class because the teacher didn't trust me at all. But I think he managed to accept me sitting in the back somehow. I didn't know what he was thinking at the time. Like, I'm not trying to shit about him, but mostly, if you know me, he probably knows who I am. He knows what's up, but as soon as I sit at the back, I'll mostly turn off from focusing and studying to playing games and finding exploits in the Windows operating system so that I could run my games. To be honest though, it could actually run games surprisingly enough. I even bagged my USB stick here and actually used that in order to simply play some of the games. Like Slime Rancher. Yeah, Slime Rancher actually worked, but Need for Speed Most Wanted, no matter how I tried to fucking make it work, it didn't want to work at all. So yeah, I feel as if like it can work, but you would need to figure out a real good way in order to make it work. But to be honest, if you want to play Slime Ranchers on the HP Opiplex 3060, go ahead. Actually, no, that's mine, the HP Elite Desk, aka my small miniature server, which I will explain in another one. All about to explain at the end of this. But to be honest, with the Opiplex 3060, it can actually run Slime Ranchers at real low resolution. But not gonna lie though, Slime Ranchers was enough for me because it was a real good game. But you eventually get bored of that shit, so I tried to sit on the back of the class. And you know what I did? I managed to figure out the BIOS key. Yes, the number one key where if a kid knows it, a kid will literally do his utmost attempt in order to fuck with the IT team. And that's what I exactly did when I fucked with the BIOS. Yes, I basically did everything from basically fucking up every single setting known to man to basically disabling both keyboard and mouse inputs. So basically, the PC was literally on life support immediately, unless they figured out a way in order to use the PS2 connectors conversion, where basically it will use the PS2 connectors on the back. But I don't even know if it had PS2 connectors or not. It's probably a small PC anyway, so it probably didn't have any PS2 connectors. Because why the fuck would have PS2 connectors in fucking 2021? Like, unless if you want to do some real performance. Because trust me, apparently if you use USB via it gives out less performance compared to using PS2. So if you want to get that extra performance, which is absolutely the bare minimum, you basically could just use PS2, but that's just like for extremely hardcore performance needs. And I have a 4090, so I am pretty much comfortable with anything running on this PC, apart from the runtime broker, which pretty much is the definition of I'm watching this assassinate 50 times all over again, because I don't know what else it's pretty much doing apart from fucking up my renaming scheme, because I had to simply rename the files to what it was, and it didn't want me to because runtime broker was being a little bitch and told me to go fuck myself, which I gladly didn't do. But to be honest though, I feel something like that. After I did that right, basically the teacher came over and got like, what the fuck is going on? I basically did my little mischievous self where basically I walked away while the teacher was looking at it with a little mischievous laugh. He knew it was me, but to be honest though, he can't be asked in order to get me in trouble. I basically just snitched on myself with the teacher, and I was so cool. In fact, we must have been homies, drinking homies, because we're basically god tier, man. Because like, trust me, there's no class with me, because trust me, every single time I have intervention, I always walk in, I already be, you know, what the fuck is going on. Not because this shit is extremely easy, but it's just simply that it's giving out the answer, bro. Like, I always walk in, look at the board, I already know what the fuck is going on. Like, I'm not some sort of fucking boomer who just saw a fucking Python scripts and goes like, oh, grandson, I didn't get my grandson, damn son, to the fucking PCA. I sound like my fucking store manager for fucking out like, I didn't get me grandson. But still though, it was quite cool while it lasted, which was one day. Simply nobody gave a flying fuck. Yes, I go to a boarding house school. Yes, everyone hates me in said school, pretty much because I'm autistic and kind of retarded. Like, I'm not really anymore. I'm just mostly just matured up. I'm pretty much matured up much more faster than anyone else in that fucking gang, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie though, I see why they was gonna disband it anyways. Because it was filled with people who are basically much more autistic and thinks that they run the world in their own world. And it's all because of schism. And trust me, I am not attacking them, but it's just that the mindset that they have is absolutely terrible. I believe that the mindset that they have compared to the mindset in the Sahib, I'm about to say the fucking gun name. That's the Sahibji, I think. Because like in that book where it says like, you should talk about that. You should treat everyone with equality. You shouldn't really like judge people based on their looks and everything like that. And yeah, this is what I actually believe in, to be honest. Like, I believe that you should treat everyone with respect, with equality. Don't really give a fuck what other people look like. Let them live there, not let you live your life. Don't have any ego, don't have jealousy, don't have any of this, because like, it fucks up your memory. And not gonna lie, it's actually true, because if it fucks up your memory, it takes up all your memory, and therefore when you have something important like exams maybe, you will actually decide to get fucked over by it. Like, you get fucked over by it, because you trying to do a maths exam over here, and then like you imagine you being up someone. Yeah, how would that be in a maths exam paper? Expand the square brackets or something, and then you over here just put it like, I'll beat up the shark to death. Like, but to be honest, I'm actually expanding from the actual shit, right? But to be honest, there's actually other things I actually want to talk about. Like, for example, I just found out that there was in fact a Need for Speed Most Wanted port for the actual DS, and apparently it was so bad, in fact, right, it got someone invested for tax evasion. And I'm gonna do this extremely lightly. So basically, right, there was this company who, basically there was two companies involved. There was the oh fuck, I don't even know what both companies' names are. And besides, like, what happened was that the company behind the actual port, right, behind the DS port, was Sesame Street Studios. And we go like, what the fuck was Sesame Street Studios? So basically, like, there was a Salt Lake City-based game development company that was founded in the early 2000s by Dave Rushton. And basically, it was specialized. The company specialized in licensing handheld ports for big publishers like EA, Midway, THQ. So basically, what they would do is build up relationships between these companies and then offer them a cheap way in order to develop these ports. A cheap and quick and easy way in order to develop these ports for the actual games, and then right, just release them onto the platform. There were no for Need for Speed Most Wanted, Justice League Heroes, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Major League Baseball 2K8, and Spider-Man Web and Shadows, and Chronicles of Narnia games on various handhelds. Basically, these were all released on their handhelds, so they didn't have any experience with releasing games on consoles. So basically, right, you can literally tell by that way that the quality control ain't that good, since they basically developed on very limited hardware, where basically the hardware was so limited to the point that it was, I wouldn't say it wasn't really possible, but I'd just say that it was nearly impossible in order to develop like a really good high quality game for the actual DS and 3DS. It's not like they can actually develop like games, real good games for it. There's some real good games for the actual DS, but just that they mostly see it as a handheld where cheap games can just be released with nobody giving a flying fuck about it. Like, that's mostly the whole senses they mostly got from the whole gaming community. and it wasn't caused by these shitty developers, which in fact got themselves arrested because guess what? Dave Washington was literally investigated for unpaid wages, misuse of state funds and grants, and security frauds. So he will let you do anything that will take in order to keep the company afloat. It seems like, oh man, that's a good ambitious thing that all companies should actually strive for. But how he did it was so illegal to the point that he might as well just be robbing the bank and just shoving all the money that he robbed inside his company, because he's practically doing that as it is. And even the IRS and Department of Labor got involved because of failure to pay employees, tax issues, and state business incentives. Basically, these securities wouldn't really paid on time or paid at all. And even Washington was charged with multiple felonies like securities fraud, communication fraud, and payroll fraud. And he was sent to prison, and then after he was sent by in 2009, his company was in fact shut down around 2008, 2009. But the actual previous port of the EA game for the DS was the Underground 2 port, and that was actually developed by Pocketeers Limited, which, not gonna lie though, they were actually had a good quality title. Like, it was a lot more better than the Need for Speed Most Wanted, and guess what? EA didn't have the fucking time in order to wait, because like Pocketeers Limited basically developed a handheld with basically knowing the specs. They knew the specs of the devices they were producing, but they also knew how to develop a good quality title for it. Especially for basic titles, since they were quite experienced in it. Which Softcore Porn Studios, I believe his name was. Yes, Sensory Sweet Studios, which was clearly not developed because they were developing multiple other story games previously compared to racing. So basically, they had no experience whatsoever developing a racing game, especially for a franchise like EA. I didn't even know what they were thinking at the time, thinking that they were so smart. Like, go like, oh, but this low quality piece of shit company is gonna fuck up the port. Let's give it to some other company that has no experience whatsoever. It feels like EA just doesn't have any, any fucking like clue of what the fuck they were doing to begin with. Like, they gave to one company that developed a nice quality title, right? And then they decided to go like, fuck you, and to give it to another one because of timing, I think. I don't even know, right? If it's because of timing, I don't think a company's gonna fuck up the port anyways. But basically, right, I know that, right, but the DS was the new hardware, so they had to develop like a new engine that had choppy frame rates, rudimentary 2D graphics, and simplified gameplay compared to it. And but the main difference was that if they gave it more time, right, they could have flushed out the engine, right, and flushed out the quality of the game, making it a lot more better than it was. And it's probably because, right, they want to release it during a time, right, where they know for a fact that they'll get the most sales, not releasing it whenever is a good time. That's the main thing with the gaming industry these days. In fact, when they much rather release games in a low quality piece of shit state that is actually garbage, they'll actually just wasting a couple months or years just so that it's nice and polished and into the best quality it can be. Like, we could take the Watch Dogs Legion for example. It was gonna die out anyways, but they decided to go fuck you and just fucked with the franchise. Like, it literally got fucked itself, and therefore this fucking led to Watch Dogs actually dying. I feel like as if like this was the main problem with the gaming industry, where it would actually they would actually have a timing over quality. So basically, right, that the timing of the game development is much more important than the quality of it, which should be opposite, because quality is a lot more important than anything else known to man. Like, if you develop like a real shitty quality game like the fucking Need for Speed Most Wanted DS port, like, you know for a fact, right, it's gonna end terribly, especially for the fucking company behind it also, because, right, Sesame Street basically had a lot of fucking issues, mostly with money issues, because they haven't been getting enough money as it should in order to fund its employees. and the ones against said employees. And you know what these employees got in return? They still work for the company, right? And in return, they lost everything around them. Yes, how shit of a company can you be when your whole company is not collapsing, right? But you encourage your own employees just to stick around to a dying company. I don't know what he's thinking of, but he was thinking along those lines of let's just commit mostly illegal acts and fuck with people around us. And that's it. Safe.